Thanks very much indeed, Lindsay. Our final speaker in this session is a powerful community activist, a human rights campaigner, and a really great voice against war. Please welcome Salma Yaqoob.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, everybody. You here are the people on the front line. You know, it's easy to come to conferences like this and just talk about what's going wrong. But I'm actually optimistic. Now, that might sound really, really counterintuitive, right? And that's not because I've locked myself away in a cave and I don't know what's going on. I think the hysteria that we're seeing right now against socialists, against progressives, against genuine anti-racists is actually a sign of fear and weakness. And you know, there's that very well-worn phrase, the night is darkest before the dawn. Well, the dawn is near. For the first time, not just in a decade, not just in one generation, I would say the first time in a century, the United Kingdom is on the brink of getting a prime minister who will lead a party, who will lead a government for the many and not the few. That's what's at stake right now. So do you know what? I expected this. Do you think they're going to give up easily? Do you think these people who've had centuries, not just 1 century, to build up their power base, to lock in their interests, do you think they're going to give even an inch of their power? Of course not. So this is some of the mask coming off. The fight's always been there. Ask the people in Venezuela. Ask the people in Iraq and Afghanistan. That's where the real face and brutality of imperialism and neoliberalism is obvious. But we here have been a bit protected from that. We have enjoyed many rights, gained on the back of the hard work of various civil rights movements. So we've been a bit insulated from the worst ends and the worst consequences, but not totally immune. That's why we have huge swathes of people in this country who feel left behind, because they have been left behind. I have to say, by successive previous Labour governments as well as Tory governments. We do have people who feel locked out, who don't have a voice, who fear the future, not because they're paranoid, but because even when they work a full 7-day week, 12-hour day, they don't have enough money to feed their families and to house them. That's real. That's not imagined. And that's why we need to address real issues. We're not here in an Eton debating club. We're here to fight the real fight and walk the real walk. And for me, it's almost like the fog is clearing because they're becoming more visible. And it just struck me when I was with these wonderful people here that we've got Walter, 1923 he was born. And he encapsulates who the other last century was in Europe. Others, we've all had our go. In fact, I do tell my Muslim brothers and sisters, don't take it personally right now. It's our turn at the moment. The Jewish people have been through it for centuries. Black people have been through it for centuries. So when I look at Diane, my sister, who has got the worst form of attacks as a woman, as a black woman, and as a lefty black woman, she is on that front line. But neither Walter nor Diane walked away from the fight. Right? Walter could have said, you know what, anti-Semitism, at least as a slogan, is not acceptable in Western Europe, because it is in Europe that millions of Jewish people were exterminated in the name of civilization, in the name of fascism. Well, actually, they didn't call it outright fascism then. That's a fact. And I completely understand why people of Jewish heritage would want to ensure and safeguard that that history is never repeated again. That is real, that fear. Whatever the other political games are going on, and we on the left must never lose sight of that. But what is also real is the poor are now being demonized, as well as Muslims. Yeah, it's our turn. The Roma Gypsies have always been, for centuries again, persecuted. But with the arrival of Muslims in Europe, actually it was going centuries back, but we were the good immigrants not long ago. When I was growing up, it was, why can't the black people be like the Asian families? They're good, they're hardworking, they have the corner shops, they keep themselves to themselves. And all the drug problems and robberies were blamed on the black community. And now the black community, like, they're not, racism doesn't go away, but right now they're more British than us now. Just slightly. Again, we must never get complacent. With some minorities, they get more accepted. They think, okay, we can step on this side now and we'll join in. And I've seen it when I was a councillor in Birmingham. I used to get Pakistani people coming to me and saying, these Somalis are taking our jobs and houses. As soon as you get comfortable, it's easy to then, kick the ladder and down people who are more vulnerable. So I see what's going on right now as the last cry, almost of desperation. And we mustn't lose heart at this time. So I'm actually coming with a 4-letter message: hope. And you give me hope. You really do. Because you are the people on the front lines, in your homes, in the community, at the school, in the NHS. Because there is a battle of ideas. They have poisoned the discourse. And I'm not saying they're not effective and they have a huge amount of resources, and they'd be bloody stupid to not be effective given the resources they've got. But just because we haven't got their kind of resources doesn't mean we're not more powerful. Because we have heart, we have empathy, we have solidarity, and they will always, always win over against hate and division. So I'm really proud to be here today to say no pasaran. Definitely not on my watch. And join us on March the 16th and come out and get that message on the streets, loud and clear. No pasaran.
Thanks very much indeed, Salma, and thanks to all our speakers.